Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. Sorry for not putting out any episodes yesterday. I was driving a friend to get their COVID vaccine about 3 hours away, so that was essentially my entire day. But fear not, friends. Today I'll be talking about more Biden corruption, and I'll be asking the question, who's pulling the strings at the White House? Because it just appears that Biden is Bernie at Weekend at Bernie's. Let's get started. The company behind the Keystone XL pipeline brought on lobbyists in January, including a former Biden Senate aide and the brother of White House counselor Steve Ricchetti. The K Street hires weren't enough to save the pipeline, which President Biden effectively canceled during his first days in office, but they could help ensure similar projects don't meet the same fate. Transcanada Pipelines, TC Energy's principal operating subsidiary, retained a former senior Biden aide in January. Petula's lobbying registration filing, posted publicly on Thursday, said he will work on matters concerning energy policy, including pipeline storage facilities and power generation origination. Petula was officially hired January 20th, the day his former boss was inaugurated as president. TC Energy had hired another prominent lobbyist, the brother of Biden White House counselor Steve Ricchetti. Jeff Ricchetti's firm said it would work on legislative issues affecting energy infrastructure, the safe and efficient transportation of natural gas and liquids energy, renewable electricity policy, and alternative fuel sources like renewable natural gas and hydrogen. Ricchetti's hire was first reported this week by Bloomberg. In spite of those early Biden era hires, the president rolled back U.S. government approval for Keystone XL during his first days in office. Keystone XL may be dead, but TC Energy has a history of developing cross border pipelines, said in January, as a robust portfolio of other similarly high quality opportunities under development. Its Biden connected lobbying team could help ensure it can at least make its case to the White House more effectively in the future. So, when you have a president who exudes corruption, you're going to have businesses basically have family members and those close to those corrupt politicians attach themselves to said politicians because they're going to have his ear. They're going to whisper to him and say, Joe, let us build the pipeline. That's what's going to happen. And you're going to see it happen. And you're going to see these progressives lose their collective minds. But it's not only that. So, yes, you have a corrupt senator's former top aide. That corrupt senator would, of course, be Joe Biden, who's now a corrupt president. And you now have the brother of the now White House counsel, which also kind of screams corruption, does it not? Why is that individual? Why is he a lobbyist for the White House? The White House should say, no, we're not going to allow you to be basically, we're not going to allow you to lobby in the White House because your brother is White House counsel. There's an obvious conflict of interest there. But of course, Biden is quid pro quo Joe. He doesn't really care as long as he gets his payday, as long as the big guy gets his 10%. With that being said, speaking of the big guy, where's Hunter Biden? Why has Hunter Biden been allowed to just drop off the face of the earth? Where has he been jet setting to? Has he been picking up bags of cash? People need to be tracking this because not only is there political implications, as in, corrupt Joe Biden's basically corrupt Joe Biden and his corrupt family picking up bags of cash around the world definitely looks bad from a political standpoint, but there's also a national security threat involved when you have a son who's addicted to crack, who has illicit photos with underage girls, basically flying around the world because all it takes is China or Russia or Ukraine or Canada or Mexico or anywhere in Latin America, anywhere where basically they want Joe Biden to do something on their behalf, which is basically every other country on this planet. Basically, they'll just arrest Hunter Biden and say, we will not let him go because we have evidence of illicit substance abuse. We have evidence of possible child trafficking. So we have evidence of this. So we're not going to let him go until you give us money, Joe Biden, until you give us missiles, Joe Biden, until you do X, Y, or Z, Joe Biden. That's what's going to happen. So we need to keep a close eye on Hunter Biden because that is not only a political threat for Joe Biden, but a national security threat for the United States of America. Let's jump over to Matt Gaetz on Twitter. Biden misadventures in Syria only beginning. Senior White House official, the Syria strike didn't hit anyone who had anything to do with the rocket attacks. They weren't even fighters. BDA suggests no weapons found. Militia saying they took no losses. It was loose affiliates and a border checkpoint unit. So Joe Biden said they tactically struck a military military warehouse facility for Iran, those Iran-backed terrorists who attacked that base in Iraq. But it turns out that they just attacked Syrian civilians who were manning a border checkpoint unit. And so it took 36 days, but Joe Biden is now a war criminal for basically striking civilians in a country that we are not at war with. So Democrats, I hope you're happy. This is what you basically voted in. People were outraged when Donald Trump bombed Soleimani, who was a leader of the Iranian military while he was in Iraq, allegedly there to plan more terror attacks. But he was in an active war zone and he was kind of by proxy an enemy combatant. The argument could be made that he was actually an enemy combatant. But when you say, okay, so there was no weapons found, they weren't fighters, and they were a border checkpoint unit, what is the justification for bombing those individuals other than you wanted to just bomb brown people, other than you wanted Joe Biden to be a war criminal, other than, or actually, I want to know who manufactured those missiles. Was it Raytheon? Because guess what? Raytheon has been getting these sweetheart deals now that Joe Biden is the president of the United States. So perhaps Raytheon is just going, okay, Joe Biden, we'll drop as many missiles as you want, and we'll just kill as many brown civilians. We don't care because we're making millions and millions of dollars every single time you want to kill more civilians in Syria. It's bananas. It's bananas. And nobody's talking about this. They're talking about stupid things like potatoes. It's fine. They wanted to rebrand from Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head, model Mr. and model Mrs. They were not trying to chop the French fry off of Mr. Potato Head. It's crazy. It's crazy, people. Maybe we should have real conversations about what's going on in the world, like Joe Biden bombing civilians at a border checkpoint. That's what's important. This is what leads to destabilization in the Middle East, is just dropping bombs on civilians. This is what gets the local population extremely agitated. That's what kicks the hornet's nest. God, it's like talking to 5-year-olds. All right, let's start asking the question, who's pulling the strings? So this was from a press conference the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's only 15 seconds. Let's check it out.
Thank you. And I'm happy to take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
Boom, denied, son. I will answer questions if that's what I'm supposed to do. And what does he do? Or he doesn't do anything. He just sits there and basically looks kind of lost because he doesn't exactly know where he's at. But somebody behind the scenes says, cut the feed. Cut the feed. For the love of God, please cut the feed. We cannot allow this man to go off script, because every time he goes off script, he says something racist. He says black and brown people don't know how to access the internet. He says that black and brown people are just as smart as white people. Or no, he says that poor people are just as smart as white people. What are more racist things he says? Or abhorrent things he says? Let's see, that the Uyghur genocide. Who are we to condemn the Uyghur genocide? Because we have different cultures, because China wants a strong, united China. So who are we to condemn the genocide occurring in the Xinjiang province of China? Donald Trump had the stones to do that. Mike Pompeo said what was happening to the Uyghurs amounted to nothing less than a genocide. You had Canada say the same thing. But Joe Biden basically comes out and says, well, who am I to say anything bad? It's different cultures. I can't condemn what they're doing. No, dude, screw off. You're the president of the United States of America. You are the president of basically freedom. America and Americanism gets spread across the world. America has influenced democracies all over the world. America has basically when people in Myanmar and Hong Kong and all these other countries around the world fly the U.S. flag, it's not because they support the United States. They support or they believe in what the flag represents, which is the freedom of speech, the freedom to speak your mind, just to be free. And that if you want to be free, sometimes you have to fight a tyrannical, fascistic government in order to fight or to win your freedom. And this is bananas that Joe Biden cannot speak out against genocide because, oh my goodness, there's cultural differences. That sort of moral relativism. That's when you hear people make these Nazi comparisons common days and they go, oh, everybody makes these Nazi comparisons, or oh, you would have been a Nazi back in the day. No, he would have been a Nazi sympathizer back in the day because he would have said, well, who am I to say that Hitler gassing a bunch of Jews would be a bad thing? Right? That's what Joe Biden would have said. That's basically what he's saying right now with what's happening to the Uyghurs in Zhejiang, China. I can't say anything because there's cultural differences. I understand Hitler's needs for a strong Aryan race. That that's exactly his argument that he's making, and it's bananas that nobody called him out on it. Even people on the conservative side aren't even making those stretches, and that needs to be made because apparently the only language people speak is Nazism. People only understand, oh, well, Hitler, bad, right? So maybe we need to speak in more Nazism so people can get the point of cross. So people can get the point. So people can understand what's going on. Because if you start talking, well, oh, well, maybe he would have been okay with the way Saddam Hussein acted in Iraq. Well, people wouldn't understand that reference. And honestly, even though I have a minor in political science, I still don't have a firm grasp on that situation because that is that was like before I was born or when I was extremely young. Let's jump to the last story. Vice President Harris spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on Thursday. Harris emphasized the United States' unwavering commitment to Israel's security, according to a White House press release about the call, which also reported that she expressed strong support for Israel's recent groundbreaking normalization efforts with countries in the Arab and Muslim world and stressed the importance of advancing peace, security, and prosperity for Israelis and Palestinians alike. The two officials concurred on the importance of persisting in cooperation on regional security matters, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's nuclear program, as well as its dangerous regional behavior, according to the White House. They discussed the importance of advocating scientific cooperation of our two countries and in efforts to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. They also noted their respective governments' opposition to the International Criminal Court's attempts to exercise its jurisdiction over Israeli personnel, the White House noted. So, why is Kamala Harris having this conversation with Bibi Netanyahu? Why isn't Joe Biden having this conversation? Is Joe Biden just not there? Who's having these conversations with the Mexican president? Who's having these conversations with Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin? Who's having these conversations? Because Joe Biden's not on that phone call alone. He has people around him. Are they the ones having the conversation? Is that the reason why nobody's allowed in on the conversation? Is that why they're only releasing transcripts that are extremely vague and like days after the phone call has been made? Joe Biden's not all there, folks. And if that's not apparent, then I got a bridge in Florida to sell you because this is getting this is extremely concerning because even the Democrats are losing faith in Joe Biden's leadership capabilities. They're losing strength in his cut, or they're losing basically their belief that he's a functioning human being because they want to take away his basically executive authorities. They want to take away the commander in chief title of president. They want to take away his first strike capabilities. They want to take away his ability to basically control the military the way the commander in chief is supposed to. And the only reason why they're doing that is because Joe Biden is a senile old man who basically has to ask his wife every morning when they wake up, Jill, where am I at? because he's like that old person who thinks they're waking up someplace 30 years ago, and then they wake up and they freak out because they're waking up in the wrong room, in the wrong house, in the wrong state, in the wrong time zone with the wrong weather. And it's not to disrespect old people, but what they're doing to Joe Biden is wrong. He just let the man basically sit in the sun in a wheelchair with a blanket around his lap and just sitting warm going, I remember those millions of dollars I made and all those little kids that I sniffed over the years. They gave me so much strength. That's what Joe Biden needs to be doing. Joe Biden should not be the president of the United States. And it's not because of his, well, it's because of his failing mental state, but it's not because of his age. It's because, well, one, it's because he's a corrupt politician, but he was elected into office even though he's a corrupt politician. And the news did an extremely good job of suppressing that information. But he shouldn't be the president because the dude is going to break one day. He's going to break. He's going to break sooner than later. And there's a reason why Kamala Harris is tied to his hip, presumably with a Bible in her pocket, just saying, please swear me in. As soon as he hesitates, you see her lean in and smile and reach for that Bible in her pocket, going, yes, is this my time? Am I going to be president? Every single time he hesitates or stutters, looks like he's about to have an aneurysm or stroke out, she leans in and smiles. Just look at her eyes. She can't wait for him to kick the bucket because she wants to be the least popular president of all time. She wants to be the person who became the president with 0 delegates from the DNC, and that would be bananas. She was the least popular Democrat candidate for president, and somehow she's going to manage to become president of the United States only if Joe Biden can survive long enough. And I don't think that's going to happen. I still believe he's going to, basically Congress is going to invoke the 25th, or basically Kamala Harris along with excuse me, I'm drawing a blank here. Kamala Harris along with the cabinet secretaries are going to invoke the 25th Amendment because he's losing it, folks. If he bombed Syrian civilians and he doesn't know where he's at, and he can't answer questions, and he can't not say racist things, and he can't not just keep doing the wrong thing, they're going to invoke the 25th sooner rather than later. My bet, basically, even before Biden took office, was 100 days. Basically, this Hunter Biden thing, it's going to start gaining traction again. They're going to find more corruption, and they're going to basically nail Joe Biden with that and basically say, you're out. Either they're going to impeach him or they're going to basically invoke the 25th Amendment. So that's going to be it for now, folks. I'm going to drop one more video in a couple hours. Until then, I'll see you all later. Have a good one. Bye.